bothers me about this too. Trying to keep Torch Lake Township people involved in their ordinance. We have a lot of outside people here looking at what they see in their larger groups that they deal with. Again, what's so important about zoning is that it represents the wishes of our township. And that's very, very
That's why we
important.
have accuracy.
And we have, again, we've got, we do have a steering committee, which I think is, yes, we need that, absolutely. And going through the zoning map. What does this have to do with anything with regard to the zoning ordinance? What are we looking at on the zoning map? The zoning map has been confirmed by at least 3 land use plans that I know of directly. What's this all about?
Well,
That one whole thing there bothers me.
that was the problem, but again, that's one of our reasons the zoning map wasn't correct, so. It does.
Well, I understand why it wasn't correct, again,
That's fine.
but taking care of the zoning map, you and I sitting down with 2 charts and working it out, and we'll be done in 45 minutes.
Thank you, what, any other board member like to?
If you want to learn about it.
Any other board member with a comment? Yes.
Alan mentioned it, the planning commission has been looking at they've been going through the zoning ordinance, looking for things that needed to be updated, changed, etc. How far have they gotten with this? I mean, they're
Partial one chapter. Like,
exactly,
no,
and it's not like this.
It's one of them, chapter 4?
2.
Yeah, chapter 2.
We're through chapter 2.
It's the biggest chapter.
So it's only one.
That's the biggest chapter. in the
Biggest
book.
chapter, general provisions.
And Beckett Rader, in doing this work, they're not gonna hand the finished product to us at the end of 11 months and say, here, read it. I mean, it's an ongoing process. Here's the draft back here in the 3rd month in. So, and our community can be following as we go along with this, just as we're going along with it. The community, if they have an interest, could be going along with it as well. Once again, I like to let things like this, leave it to the professionals.
Any other comments, Jason?
Yeah, I sit on the planning commission, and in the last 2 months, several times, we have leaned on Sarah to help us rewrite our ordinances. We're already doing it. So, I'm with Kathy, I mean, I'd like to leave professionals.
Sarah would be the one to rewrite this.
Yeah, I mean, we're already leaning on her, she's already
Sarah
doing
was a fuel, it was a team that will help.
Yeah, she's part of that team.
Right. All right, so we've heard from the board, there's a motion and seconded, that you guys have a roll call vote, please.
Bob, I want to go back to the motion because you said more than what is written here. So where do you want the motion to end? Okay, so. This whole thing here, right?
Yes.
Right, so the motion is to approve Beckett Rader contract to review and update Torch Lake Township ordinances at a cost of $23,400 and to be completed by May 2022 or sooner, with the supervisor monitoring the progress of the contractor and providing updates to the board. Okay?
Roll call vote, please.
Yes. First, pardon, seconded by Schultz. I'm first this time, I will say yes. Mr. Martel.
Again, Veronica, because we are violating our own policy by buying something that is more than $5,000 without getting bids, and the fact that I think that this was never budgeted, and I do think that at this time, we have a way of doing much of this without having a professional group come in. I worry, I don't know. I don't know, absolutely.
I do believe our policy states that unless we feel there's a need for action, that we do not have to take these
Right,
out.
there's language in there that says if we think there's a vendor that fulfills the contract and the services being provided, you do not have to have multiple vendors.
That wasn't the time for me to say that, but
That's
Mr.
right.
Merchant,
Yes.
Ms. Schultz,
Yes.
Mr. Cook.
Yes.
All right, this motion passes 4-1.
All right, we move on to the next motion. Next, item. I did have a number, Kathy.
Yeah, you know, when I looked at, as I was going through this, and I was thinking, I need to look up the ordinance number, and I did not. But I will fill in the blank.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to adopt the use power ordinance to determine, of this date, April 15th, 2021, Torchlight Township Fire Lane Ordinance, and have published notice of adoption in the paper within 15 days.
Yes.
Now, I will give you some of the background associated with this. One of the big challenges that I've been involved with is the nature preserve and the parking problem that's down there. And in trying to figure out, we had people that wanted to put a gate across, and the road commission said no way. So, working with the fire chief, we looked at causing it to be a fire lane. And we went to the fire marshal of the state of Michigan, and he indicated that before you do anything, you have to have a fire lane ordinance. So I had Sarah draft this power ordinance as step one. And then later on in the meeting, I will discuss the discussion I had with the Antrim County Road Commission related to this. So, this is step one, putting in place a fire lane that meets the ordinance. And in this ordinance, I'm sure you folks have read, the ordinance has a penalty of $500 plus towing at the owner's expense. So I am hopeful, the experience, to be honest, Kevin could speak to it, but the short version of it is that 2 years ago, there was a life-saving fire approved, but it took them quite a bit of time to go against the storm, and they made it in time, 5 to 10 minutes. We had a practice session 2 weeks ago, I think, Kevin. There were cars down there, it took them an extra 15 minutes to get the boat turned around, so they could back it down into it. I told the road commission that's unacceptable, we cannot take that risk. So this ordinance puts into place the first step to being able to put that protection in place. So, did I have a second? Who seconded it?
The word draft is still on here. You want to make sure you read that?
Yeah. Get that off.
All right, I'm sorry, I missed the second. Is that Jake?
No, nobody.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, we need to have this, so I'll second this.
All right, thanks, Ken. Any discussion?
I have no problem. My question is Sarah now doing our police power ordinances as well as our zoning ordinances?
I absolutely do that, yes.
So is that a difference in her job description?
No, it's in there. You read it? I think I had her in there for all ordinances. I didn't differentiate.
That was never clear to me. So this is, should we,
She
should we
just
expect
she
to
reports.
should we writing our police power
She
ordinances as
reports
well?
into the supervisor, so I have the right to ask her.
You have a right to do a lot of things. Those are things that are very regular in my mind. Thank you. I agree with the ordinance, however.
I will, Kathy, will you do a roll call vote?
I will repeat. I'm first. And I say yes. Mr. Martell,
Yes.
Mr. Merchant,
Yes.
Ms. Schultz,
Yes.
Mr. Cook.
Yes.
In 15 days, won't be a problem, because Ms. Sarah also created the summary. So, thank you, Sarah.
All right, we'll go to the next motion. I will make a motion to increase the hourly rate for Linda Woodward from $14 to $15 effective June 1st, 2021. That is retroactive. She has been working with us for a number of months. She's doing a fantastic job. We also brought on her contract $15 with her experience and with what Linda has. I believe it's the right thing to do with the rough, and that puts it effective on June 1, which is appropriate so that we can do the June payroll. I remember correctly.
Well,
What do we like?
no, I think we talked about that because you've already gotten the first pay of the month. Oh, yes, you're right, because you're correct, because we looked at the dates. I'll make that second, I'll second that.
All right. Any discussion, board?
I have one comment. Should we put in the motion, Linda Woodward for the scanning project? I mean, it doesn't say if nobody knew who Linda was and what she was doing, do we need to have it?
That's fine, we can do that.
Should we?
Okay, we increase the hourly rate for scanning.
Okay. I will accept that. Second, you accept that. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
So we're not doing a, what do you call it on that? Roll call. That's the all right.
9 on our document was, we call for new 9 is related to James Hunter, and we just got it tonight, so Kevin, if you could come up and just give us the facts on it, I appreciate that.
For Jim,
Yes.
Jim Hunter is the Andrews County Park Administrator. And he approached me about joining the fire department. His past experience, as you see on the letter that I gave you, he was a former police officer. He was struck by a car, and that's why he left that job position. He was also an EMTB at the time, and they moved here to Michigan, to living south of Station 2. I had an interview with him, and he's a very disciplined individual. He's very interested in serving the community in the fire department. He has been here on several occasions for training and for our meetings, getting himself familiar with the equipment. So that's why I put in the recommendation to the board to hire him as a probationary firefighter so we can get him on the payroll. And he's willing to respond as necessary when he's available. So I think it would be a good addition to the party.
Any questions for him?
He has to go through the standard, physical.
Yes, I already told you to have to get physical and all brackets and just complete, he had a discussion with him on the training that would be involved. It is time consuming, and he had no problem with that.
Not that I expect Kevin to answer this, but he has a background in law enforcement. Oh, we all. Jason, isn't
That was the
it?
same thing I thought.
Did you mention it?
Yes, I did.
And-
He didn't seem responsive.
He's
Nobody
He's
does.
done with that part.
He's brand new to the county commissioners hired him as the parks director, and he's got a full-time getting in his feet wet currently right now.
Well, I will make a motion to hire James Hunter as firefighter, pending all the appropriate background checks, starting May 26, 2021, for the probationary rate per hour.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion, board?
James is a great guy. I know him. My wife and I actually sold him his wife their house. Yeah, he's from Phoenix, served on the Arizona Highway Patrol. He ain't a real big guy, but he's got a lot of fight in him.
All right, that concludes the new business.
Well, we need to vote, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We have a motion and a second.
All All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Try to get this out.
Give us all the paperwork, Kevin.
Okay. All right, board, we're approaching the 3-hour mark. With your approval, we can extend it or we can recess. Now we'll do it up to the board.
Just pop through.
Fell through. No objections, we will follow through. So the last board meeting, we had 2 letters that came in from Kurt Thompson from the Antrim County Road Commission. One was related to the Day Park, and the second was related to the nature preserve. We were looking to do some items associated with that, and they basically said that we would not get jurisdictional control over those items. I had a meeting today, about an hour and a half, and for the Day Park, coming in.
Appreciate that, you went to their board,
Yeah, to the board meeting.
their road commission board meeting,
Right.
you're on the agenda.
They have agreed that they will put up no parking signs on the dock road. And I said I would pay for them, township would pay for them, but all they need from us is a number. So people associated with the Day Park, if you can tell me how many signs you want on each side, they are willing to put them up for us. There's a lot of discussion because we did a survey. And the survey results are not favorable to one of the residents that lives along that road. And also it's not favorable to our Day Park, because we lose quite a bit of space down immediately. And Judge, correct me if I'm wrong, but they concurred that they are not interested in causing us more headaches by turning that extra land into additional parking. And so at this particular point, they are not going to force us to do anything associated with the Day Park. They do want the rocks removed from Sue's lot, and they will handle that matter separately. It's not a township matter. So that's good news for us as it relates to the Day Park and our relationship with the road commission. I kind of gave you a preview as to the nature preserve. I think that would be a huge win. I think Mary will be very happy with that. But I also had a discussion with the nature preserve members, Mark Jacobiak and Mary, and they have agreed that they're not going to get their cake and eat it too. As I explained to the road commission, when that piece of property was donated, it was truly a nature preserve. The only thing you had down there were trails. There was swamp and wetlands, and there was no beach. And so now we have a beach. And so in acknowledging that the county commissioners are very interested in access to the lake, I have gotten at least 2 approvals or agreements that we would carve out a piece of property that would be just west of the existing 4 spots. West, so he's sufficient to put 10 additional parking spots in. So we figured roughly 120 by 15. But in talking with Todd, how do we get that? We would have to make an amendment to the conservancy agreement and the easement. To do that, we were going to need 4 groups to approve the road commission. I know it's paying something. I forget what that particular association is. But they would have to agree. We would have to agree, and the Grand Traverse Land Conservancy sign the easement on the road. So they will be the 4th member. So I will start pursuing that, because the reality is, you know, it was put in place with, again, the rolling trails. And now there's much more traffic to the site. And we need to try to accommodate that, and if we're gonna put fire lanes there, we need to figure out how to at least address the public's interest in getting to that shoreline. That's an update on those two pieces of property. The next, item is rezoning. That was the one that Alan wanted to put on. And, again, I'm not sure, Alan, I think we,
Well, let me ask some questions, and then we get you started. We have a zoning request for the airport, zoning change request for the airport, that's correct. And Steve Longworthy is aware of that request, and how is that communicated to the planning commission? How is that all together?
quite honestly, I think that's a fair question, but the appropriate person to ask. You Bill and I would request that, since it's not a board action, that you would set some time up with Bill to go through the multitude of questions you may have. At this
I
juncture,
don't know mountains, I just want to know the process.
well,
Because I have people asking me, what is the process? For example, I heard that you were having a hearing in July. Is that true? I don't know.
well, they always had a hearing.
No, hearing at the airport in July.
I haven't heard that. And
Well,
I
sure, I
don't
know,
think
what
in
is
terms
it? What I don't ask you about, does, do you know those answers?
One more time, I'm sorry.
You know the process involved with regard to the airport rezoning? How does that, when will it, is everything complete, who's reviewed it? That kind of thing, where are we at?
You've asked me a lot of questions, so I'm gonna start with one.
there's a multitude.
I'm gonna start with one.
Well, again, this is,
The way it is supposed to work, and I think it's working, okay, is the request for rezoning permit be filled out, comes into our clerk, the clerk logs it in, makes sure it's accurate in her eyes, give it to the PC board, the PC commission secretary. She reviews it, checks it out, would then reach out to our planning consultant if she has any questions. They review it together to make sure everything's fine. And at the conclusion of all that, generally it's not fine, but at the conclusion of all that, the secretary would contact me and request that it be put on their agenda. Not necessarily June, July, August, September, but on the agenda. At that point in time, I look at the trustee matters in our township and put it in as quickly as possible.
where are we at now?
We are at this point. We've received 17 requests for zoning changes at the airport. We've received an escrow account of about 13,500, 14,250. The check has been submitted. I'm assuming it's clear.
It's in the back.
Okay, it's in the back. Now this gentleman is now off submitting an additional 16 zoning requests. Yes. Okay, then, those are being, they're going through the process, the clerk has seen them, correct?
Not a second set?
Yes,
No, I don't know.
then that's a problem. I was told it came in here, and my assumption was you saw it because Sarah is reviewing them right now for accuracy, to see if they're completed. Correct. And they come in with checks. As I told, I've not seen them.
Those are the $500 checks.
Yeah, $500 a piece, okay? I have not seen the checks, I have not seen the requests for zoning changes. But I've
You've
been
not
told,
seen the actual request.
I have not seen them in person. I've told that they're in process, okay? And all that's going on, Sarah has been reaching out periodically to Steve Langworthy, the point person, and letting him know more, not daily, but if there's pressing issues, she'll keep him informed. So, having said all that, I'm waiting for somebody to come to me, my secretary, and say, hey, we've got all these complaints, we've got all the money, can we put this on the agenda as soon as possible? That's where we're at.
Are those requests available? Can we see them, the zoning requests?
The answer is yes, if I saw them and knew exactly where they were at, I believe they're in the hands of Sarah.
That's a Sarah. Okay.
But yes, we can see them.
Is that as the board can see them, or is that public?
Well, My first response to that is I don't know. Second response is I think it's available to the public in some way, shape, or form.
It should be. Again, all I hear is a rezoning from R1 to commercial. I don't know what the commercial is about. Is that, I would assume it's in the request.
Do not assume that.
Well,
It doesn't have to do
Don't,
that.
don't assume that. When you submit a form for zoning request, an application, okay, it can come in with a number of different ways. Okay, it can come in with no information, and the PC would have to rule on that. We have no information, therefore, it could be yes, it could be no, depending on how they go, or it can come in with reams of documents. Site plan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The township does not require people to submit zoning change applications with the site plan. We do not require that.
but the planning commission could.
You can ask that question when it comes, when that person comes before us in a public hearing. You can ask that question. They don't have to do it. Okay? If I were doing it, I probably would do it, but they don't have to.
So if they were to say to you, this is all the information we're going to,
This is it. We want to go from residential to commercial. This is all we're going to do.
and you have a public hearing on
Yeah, we have a public hearing, and then it goes into a discussion at the PC, and the PC at some point in time will discuss it, make a motion to approve or disapprove, and go forward. Then it goes to, eventually comes back to the board.
So basically, we're not having a hearing in July. I can answer a lot of
As
questions.
of right now, no. It could change, but right now, no. We've got other factors as well, because when you do a hearing, you have to have certain deadlines and papers and all that other stuff.
Thank you, Bill.
Did that answer your question?
That's very much.
All right, thank you, Bill. We'll move on to the informational purposes only. I have 4 items. To recap on the Memorial Day activity, we had I received 2 emails related to early morning flights. And I also had a verbal discussion regarding some touch and go on the beach off of San Marino Drive along the shoreline there. They were touch and going on the water on the beach. But other than that, there were no complaints filed through the zoning administrator's office. I had nothing else. I had no complaints on the fireworks. Fireworks were a pretty good show. And so otherwise, it was pretty quiet. I made 4 or 5 trips around it. We had one issue with the tent. They removed it the next day. They were very cooperative, and all the people were very respectful. So I was pretty pleased with the police. You know, they were people running around as crazy. We are beginning discussions with our TIA relationship. It's possible that we can come up with a different arrangement that could generate a savings of up to $20,000, somewhere in between 0 and 20, depending on how we structure it. But I think it's a positive step. I think we would remain with a strong relationship with TAA, but right now we're spending roughly $50,000 a year for them helping us. And the key there was to get us to ALS. And we have now been ALS for over a year, and so we're standing on our own feet at this point.
What's
also, yeah.
I don't know what TA means.
Oh, Township Admin Support.
Oh,
The third item is, we've begun preliminary discussions with the Central Lake Police Chief. I'm going to have a meeting with him, with Joe Peterson and Sharon, to discuss possibilities of sharing resource, since it's impossible, it seems, to get a zoning enforcement officer. I mean, you could probably go to $40 or $50, and I'm not sure I get it. Right now, we're at 30, and the bonus is silent. The last item is related to road work that we have approved in the past. It was Golden Beach Road. There was culvert that appeared to be damaged and was going to require significant work. The town, road commission got quoted roughly $69,000 to fix it, which was $19,000 above what the original quote was, so they went back and reevaluated what they could do. At this juncture, I don't know, I think Bert is bringing it up to the road commission. Did they agree to their lower approach?
They have not decided yet. He's looking into the possibility of, we call it shoveling it through, to be
On wire.
yeah.
So anyway, there's something that says that you might be able to fix it for $20,000. So if that is the case, if the road commission agrees to it, that will put $25,000 back into our road fund for us to work on other areas. So that kind of brings you up to date on conversations that I was going through. So,
What's touching on?
take them down, so they run along the beach.
Who's they?
Repair them.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't know it until I went out. But yeah, they come down, they
Dip their
run.
toes in the water.
Yeah, they run like they walk around. There's easier ways to die. Citizen comment, Jerry?
I tried to bring this up during the discussion on business one, and new business one. Acknowledge me, but that's okay, I'm okay with that, I understand, but sometimes I got to tell people, no, we're not going to acknowledge something at that point, so I keep it for now. I want to point out that PC does not do fireworks. I kept hearing you saying, well, PC does this and that. Fireworks is a police ordinance. PC has nothing to do with police ordinance. Okay, I want to clarify that. Anything with police ordinance is a board function. But anything that fire did or did not do it for the PC by regulations by what is the function of PC. So it was done for the board. And your question whether it is I'm sure it's all going on, but I wanted to clarify that point. It is not a PC function. And so therefore, I don't see where the conflict is if the PC does something. Another area where they pay for it. The other point I want to make now is there is on the meeting agenda here, we have a special meeting of the planning commission coming up on Wednesday, 23rd. Thank you. Looking for Jackie back there. On 23rd. I was ill during the last planning commission meeting, and Bill Goodine had recused himself from the meeting. So he could not be the chair. So I would take over that function of the rezoning on MBA issue. However, since I was ill, somebody else in the planning commission had to be chair. You can't be chair because you're a representative of the board. So the board remaining person, somebody would have to be chair. No one wanted it. And so therefore, per Sarah's input, we have a special meeting on the 25th. 23rd. Thank you. So on the 23rd at 7 o'clock, we're here, and that's with the corrections from Sarah. So I'm going to add, I know it's from your list. And fortunately, somebody didn't contact you. I thought they contacted.
I haven't,
Email ours.
I didn't look at my email today.
Okay.
Jerry, is that a continuation of the hearing, or is it just a continuation of the decision?
A continuation of the decision. The public hearing is over.
Because of
We
that
came
problem.
with it because of some issues that we want to clarify in MAA that I learned from training with Sarah on the issue. It was very, very helpful. Throughout the type of meeting. So I've been sharing this meeting coming up Wednesday. On Sarah and DNR, even though I still think we should bid it out, and that's the way to go from conservative financial viewpoint and best practices.
However, I just want to make sure everybody knows that PCN are doing a great job, and it's outstanding. It's nothing to do with the turf or the country. It's a process more than it is the individual or the country.
Any other,
I'll be quick, everybody wants to go home. When we went back in later, you made a great decision, there's big help, but I want to reiterate one thing with the board, if I may. Beckett Raider is only a consultant. The PC makes the policy. So we will get the information in from Beckett Raider, we will review their recommendations, we may not agree with them, because we have people from every segment of the township representing the PC. So there could be people that don't agree with the recommendation. I'm sure when it comes to legal, we'll probably agree with it. They're not the fix-all, they're not the instant putting just add water, they're a part of the process. So this will move along quicker, probably, but it won't be quick. So just so you all understand that. Okay, thank you.
All right. I'm Deb Grayberg, Law 27, who's not ready. Tonight, some may be on a future agenda that you'll put give us a status on the cemetery and the water issues that are out there. I haven't seen it on any of the agendas recently. I think there was a fireworks permit application that came in last month, but I don't think a fireworks permit fee has been placed on the fee schedule, or has it? I haven't seen one. And I noticed that when I got copies of the lot numbers, that the 20 campers and the Fort Air Park were issued, the township did not charge for any of those campsites. In the past, there was a $50 charge. I mean, it's cheaper to go camp at Fort Air Park than it is to stay up at Farmers Park. So, but the campers came in on Thursday and they left about noon on Tuesday. I think the last one time they pulled out. I know it was put on the Fort Air Park, but this was the first annual PPG fly-in. None of those people flew in that had PPG, they all drove in. So this was a big fly in, not enough flying.
all right, board, any other comments?
I've got comments.
First of all, as a taxpayer, I disagree with your Beckett Raider motion to agree to pay them $23,000 plus. Because we already have the PC working on reworking the voting ordinance with the Beckett Raider representative as the zoning administrator, and you're paying Sarah for that expertise. So you're already paying for it, now you're gonna pay it again. And you're gonna pay the same person twice. Because when it goes back and they review it, Sarah's gonna be there to review it, we're gonna pay her then. And you're gonna pay her now. But I think you're wasting taxpayers' money, my personal opinion. And the second thing, Jeff brought up the cemetery. I have not heard one word about the cemetery. I'd like to know what's going on with the cemetery.
So there's been comments in the, living supervisor's report each month, and I think last month I had reporting that it's going to dirt gravel to the road, and I think there was a presentation, Sharon, you were out there, and we're going to have some holes drilled to figure out what's going on, what's causing the water, so. Okay.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah,
There's
I know,
there's
for
work.
the years I've been watching.
Well, more progress. More progress is the main, no, more progress.
Take it personally, I hope you last for
The other thing I'm gonna say is, with your comments to Barbara being illegal on the agenda,
Yeah.
you apologize for her here, that's on the website. And I think you need to put an apology on the website.
You can do that, that's
Just in fairness.
I'll put it in the supervisors, in the desk next month.
I think you should,
That's
just in
fine.
fairness to Barbara.
That's fine, I'll be happy to do that.
This is my first meeting. I'm doing my last. This is a lot of fun.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
The one question that I have is, I got got the impression that a bill was paid without an invoice. Was that true?
The bill was paid
That the
with,
car was paid without an invoice?
was paid with a letter from the planning commission chairman.
Well, that's why it was reported to you all.
Yeah, but it seems like the motion should have been included that nothing without invoice is paid.
You didn't do the motion that's the secondary that they was under.
I guess the other thing is I encourage you not to judge the stuff at the airport just by how many complaints you personally have. I think it's a little broader concern, which you probably understand. But lastly, I want to thank each and every one of you, because you guys do not look like that at all. It doesn't look.
We have moments.
Well, it must be very small moments, because this did not look like a lot of fun. So thank you for your service. I appreciate it. It's hard to watch.
All right. Brian?
Thank you. I have a couple of quick questions for clarification. Last time I was here, we, at the board meeting, talked about Sarah's indicating that the events at Memorial Day would need a special special use permit. So, fast forward, right before Memorial Weekend, they got camping permits. I'm interested in the process.
And use permits were granted, they were requested, they were officially requested. And the special permit was associated more with fireworks.
Okay.
And our attorney determined that the paramotors were not a special permit requirement, so that's why that was not done. The bonfire that was identified as an activity actually was a campsite. It was circular, no container that was not 24 inches in diameter. And so that's, I think there was just a misinterpretation of that. Other than that, I think everything else was.
I'll continue to come until I get the terminology correct for how the various little differences occur. It surprised me, based on what I thought I heard at the last board meeting, that all of a sudden camping was permitted. So I just need to learn how that works. And it was just because he asked for it that
Well, he's a citizen of the township. He
Well,
can make the request.
okay.
He makes the request, and he brings in the money. If there's no money, if it's signed, then, as long as the building administrator approves them, he gets,
Okay. So the special use permit was associated with fireworks. That was,
because it's professional.
okay. Originally it was professional. Then as he told you probably, if it's, since I don't have a permit, I'll just do it myself.
Now, he can do it under state law, as a consumer display.
And the fireworks that he set off were consumer fireworks?
Yes, they were, because it was 500 grams per shot, and I went out to the site after they were shot, and I looked at about 75 boxes.
Okay.
They all had 500 grams on them. And
You answered my questions.
in fact, if you really want to know, I've got 6 empty boxes in that truck.
Empty boxes, not full, but empty.
I took them because I figured somebody was going to come in and question. Now, there's a different question that I will be discussing with Sarah.
It was also my last question, so. All right, that's fine. Well, it was, his comment about you made a comment that there wasn't any complaints. I'll get better at that. You'll get, the paramotors did create noise. And I was kayaking and they came over, I was kayaking in the lake, and it's a lot of noise generated by those paramotors.
we had a discussion with Tim. And part of the issue is the behavioral issue. And it's no different than if you threw a party and some guy got drunk and became obnoxious and it was a disturbance to your neighbor. You know, they can only try to reiterate a number of things. One is to respect the privacy of the residents. And number two, not to put people at risk if they do those get downs. And when I talked to the person, he said there was nobody else on the beach, nobody in the water. So if that's the case, I have to assume that if people were on the beach, they weren't thinking about wasn't going to try it.
Actually, Tim told me that paramotors over the water is a very dangerous act, and we wouldn't be doing that. Because if you have a malfunction and you're strapped to the heavy paramotor and you go in the water, there are easier ways to die.
Well, the whole thing is you're riding on top of the gas. I mean, seriously, you can see the gas moving around in that. All right, anything else, Russ?
That was the
Well,
question.
on the camping permit in a trailer is allowed in the residential area for a 30-day period once a year, not 4 days here and 4 days here, a 30-day period. So they will not have another permit, and that would not be allowed another permit for this year.
Only on those 20 lots, so he's got another few lots.
You can do it on the other lots.
Right.
He's got several lots.
A lot of learning here.
Thank you.
Will you quit? All right.
I'm
gonna wear my
He's giving me a call.
public hat today. This is my commissioner hat, but a very.
I'm just speaking on the learning curve, that's all. I haven't done this professionally.
Because it didn't address the extra parking, so we needed fire to implement the fire lane. And it's the perception that the user of that reserve is that you are trying to eliminate the public from going down to the beach and using that public lane. Because you haven't addressed extra parking, and so the fire lane there, instead of putting, one side access for parking, it's gonna be very clear message that you're trying to show them. Because there isn't enough room for fire lane and parking currently, it's violating these terms, I mean, well measured, but, I would like to see you extend them and move forward and getting the parking situation addressed. Shutting down one, no parking, not in the fire lane, but just in the fire lane as well. I understand the concern for safety, but you've got issues with the health of the community that the home has issues in fire lanes. And to do it just after one piece of property that is public land, really including message for those lost in the
But just to let you know that it's not going to be excused for that. There are other areas that Karen and I have talked about that will also need to be addressed with fire lane. And part of it is that we don't have, the bandwidth to put in the type of facilities that the area needs. Again, the easement restrictions specifically state that we cannot have parking lots. And when they defined what a parking lot was, the only thing that was there was a trail. So the people can still come and use that parking lot for the trail. The new entity that's there is the beach, and now we have to address that. We've got a nature preserve willing to talk about doing that. We have to get an amendment to the easement. We will do that as quickly as we can.
I appreciate it.
You said.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Board? We'll start with Sharon. Comments?
No comments.
Kathy?
Bringing up the principles of governance that we put up towards the end. We insist on the highest standards of ethical conduct. We bring credit, honor, and dignity to our public offices. We actively pursue education and knowledge. We treat all persons with dignity, respect, and impartiality. Practice openness and transparency in our decisions and actions. We cooperate in all reasonable ways with other governmental entities. We communicate to the public township issues, challenges, and successes. We welcome active involvement of stakeholders to further the township's well-being. We strive for compliance with all state and federal statutory requirements. We refuse to participate in any decisions or activities for personal gain at the expense of the best interests of the township, and we further the understanding of the obligations and responsibilities of American citizenship, democratic government, and freedom. These principles we pledge to our township, our state, and our country. Do you reaffirm this, board?
Do you need to make a motion, or you just have to say aye?
I make the motion that we reapprove the principles of governance and that we will abide by them.
I'll second. Do you roll call vote, or?
No, I don't need roll call vote.
Right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, so I'll pass this for the people that I don't see, like Jason. Pardon? I'm gonna have him sign the public.
Yeah.
I got it right here.
All right.
So Alan and Jason.
I have none.
Okay, so I have no, except to thank everybody for hanging in there. 3.5 hours, thank you for being here, and I'll make the motion to adjourn. I'll second that. Sharon, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? At 10:25.
No. I can't speak for all of them.